AI and national security, it feels like it's everywhere these days.
Yeah, you can't open a news site without seeing something about it.
It really makes you think, what does the future hold?
Right. It seems like everything's moving so fast.
And one company that's right at the heart of it all is Anthropic. They're kind of known for this focus on building AI that's safe and reliable.
Right. And they've got this AI model called Claude that they're really pushing.
So today we're going to dive deep into what they're up to, especially some of these recent partnerships they've announced.
Yeah, because those could have some pretty big implications.
Exactly. We're talking about AI, the U.S. military, and the future of national security.
Sounds like a recipe for an interesting deep dive.
What's really grabbed my attention is Anthropic's partnership with Palantir.
Oh, yeah. Palantir's a big deal. They do a ton of work with government agencies, especially when it comes to data analytics.
And on top of that, Anthropic is using Amazon Web Services to host everything.
Specifically AWS GovCloud, right?
Right, and that's designed for handling all that sensitive government data.
So we've got this AI model, Claude, built with safety in mind. It's going to be used by intelligence and defense agencies.
And it's all hosted on a secure government cloud.
It's a lot to take in.
So the big question is, what does this all actually mean for the future of AI in the U.S. military? I mean, where do we even begin to unpack this?
Well, the bottom line is that U.S. intelligence and defense agencies are going to have access to some seriously powerful AI tools.
Tools that can analyze a lot of data, right?
Mountains of it. And all within this super secure environment that Palantir's built called IL6.
I've heard it described as like Fort Knox for data.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It can handle info classified up to the secret level.
So we're not just talking about any data. We're talking about the kind of data that's critical to national security.
Exactly.
I was actually reading a statement by Kate Earl Jensen. She's Anthropic's head of sales.
Okay.
And she seems to think this partnership is going to revolutionize how the military handles intelligence.
That's a bold statement.
It is, but if you think about it, the possibilities are pretty mind-blowing. Can you give us a concrete example of what this might look like in practice?
Sure. Imagine being able to predict enemy movements just by analyzing patterns in satellite imagery.
Wow.
Or uncovering those covert influence campaigns by sifting through social media data.
That's incredible.
That's the kind of potential we're talking about here. Claude could help analysts go through massive amounts of information, pick out those really critical insights,
and make faster, more informed decisions.
Exactly.
But with all this power, there has to be some responsibility, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Anthropic's just handing over the keys to the kingdom and saying, do whatever you want.
Oh, absolutely not. Anthropic has been super clear about their commitment to responsible AI development. They've laid out some pretty specific terms of service that dictate how their AI can be used by government agencies.
So what are those limits? Where do they draw the line?
Well, for instance, they're totally fine with Claude being used for foreign intelligence analysis.
Okay, so that's allowed.
Identifying those covert influence campaigns we talked about, that's okay too.
Yeah.
And even predicting potential military activities.
So those are all within the bounds. What's not allowed?
Anything that could increase the risk of misuse. So no AI systems that could escalate situations without human oversight. They're also drawing a hard line against using AI for things like spreading disinformation.
Okay, that makes sense.
No weapon development.
Got it.
No censorship, surveillance, or carrying out cyber attacks. They're trying to be really careful.
Yeah, it sounds like they're really trying to position themselves as the good guys of AI development, especially compared to some of the other big players out there.
There's definitely a difference in approach. I mean, think about OpenAI.
Right.
They're both aiming for closer relationships with the Defense Department, but they're going about it in very different ways.
And it seems like the government's appetite for AI is only growing.
Oh, it's huge. There was a study that showed a 1,200% increase in AI-related government contracts just this year.
1,200%.
1,200. It's pretty clear they see AI as a key part of the future across all sectors of government.
That's a staggering figure. But even with all this interest, there's still some hesitation within the military, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Some branches are worried about the cost of adopting AI on a large scale.
That makes sense.
And whether it'll actually deliver a return on investment.
It's a valid concern. New technology is always expensive, and it's not always clear what the payoff will be, especially in a complex organization like the military.
Right. And there are concerns about the implementation challenges, too. Like, how do you actually integrate this new technology into existing systems and workflows?
It's not just plug and play?
Not at all. And then there's the need for training programs, making sure personnel can actually use these tools effectively.
That's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? How will this partnership, and others like it, actually shape the landscape of national security?
Well, the potential is huge, right? But it's also a little unsettling. We could be looking at a future where AI systems are analyzing threats in real time,
In real time.
potentially making life or death decisions on the battlefield.
That's kind of terrifying.
It raises some serious ethical questions.
Yeah. Like, what about bias in these systems? The risk of unintended consequences.
And what happens to human control and oversight? These are big questions we can't ignore.
And that's where I think Anthropic's focus on safety becomes so important. Could their approach and this commitment to responsible use actually influence how the military uses AI?
It's possible.
Could it lead to stricter ethical guidelines for AI in warfare?
We're entering uncharted territory, that's for sure. As these AI systems get more sophisticated and are used in secure government environments, the choices we make now, the guidelines we establish, will have huge consequences. They'll shape the future of national security.
It feels like we're on the brink of something really big.
We are.
We're talking about potentially redefining the very nature of warfare.
It's a lot to consider.
It really is. In this new age of AI-driven defense, where do we draw the line?
Yeah. Where's that line?
What role should humans play? How do we make sure these technologies are used responsibly, ethically?
These aren't easy questions.
No, they're not. But they're questions we all need to be thinking about.
Because the future is coming, ready or not.
Exactly. And the choices we make today will determine what that future looks like.
That's something for everyone to ponder.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
See you then.